Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Sunday morning, bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. Let's get into our study group for warriors, for my hardcore heads. I got a couple new subscribers to the channel. Welcome. This is how we get down on Sundays. I go through my notes. I study every day. It's part of the program that I live, that I coach, that I mentor. So we're just going to go through some of my notes. If you guys want to get on my schedule for any coaching, go to my website, skyazrael.com. I always put the link below, or you can find me on social media. Got some in my throat. Some of my tea. I got some good chamomile tea. Honey chamomile. Someone asked me a question. They sent me an email, so let me address it. Viewer email. And they asked me what my opinion was on medical marijuana. Do I think they should take it or not? That's not my choice to make. It's your choice to make whether you should take it or not. And it could be, if you want, a choice that you make with your doctor, or whatever, your psychiatrist. Now, I don't see any problem with medical marijuana at all. The only problem I could see potentially is if you are a recovering drug addict of some sort, a recovering addict of some sort, and you think that you're going to just find this escape with marijuana, then all you're going to be doing is using it as a vice. If you can use it as medication and not as a vice, then more power to you. If you find that you're just using it as a vice, then you're just continuing your drug addiction, and it doesn't really seem to be doing anything for you medically, if that was the goal. But for me, bottom line, with medical marijuana, I don't see a problem with it at all. I think it should be available in every state, and I think most states have a medical marijuana deal. But let's move on. So let's just jump into this. I got some Zen music going. Let me turn it down so it doesn't distract you. I got some Nag Champa incense burning. So set your mood right. Let's jump into this. Had someone ask me last week, why aren't you out there partying? Because we have a lot of stuff going on in this town for the holidays, and we have a big event happening right now. And all I could think of is that quote in the Bible. I can't tell you what page, what chapter, but it's Jesus talking, and he says, he's not of this world. Be not of this world. And sometimes I don't feel like I'm of this world anymore. I used to be. What is this world? A bunch of idiots addicted to pop culture, partying, addicted to a bunch of weakness, vice, hedonism. And the bottom line is, if you're afraid to be different from the rest, different from everybody else, if you're afraid to be different, you're not worthy to be in the kingdom of God. Not everybody's going to make it. Let's move on. Here's the 3 rules of style. Let me think of my new blazer. Some of you may have seen me wear this once before. It's not brand new, but I picked it up at Goodwill, and it had a big giant cop patch. Do I have the patch? I thought I put it in the pocket. I don't think I have it. I must have left it up there. It had a fucking police patch right on the thing. But this is a nice blazer. It fits me perfectly. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to want to wear a police patch. So I pulled the police patch off, and it had all these holes. You couldn't avoid them. It's like the jacket was just ruined where the patch was. So I actually have a whole pile of really cool patches. I should do a video to show you my cool patches. I love patches. I got a pile of the coolest patches, and I took this one, put it on. So now it's no longer a cop jacket, it's a biker blazer. But let's go over some fashion rules. First one is fit. That's the #1 rule for men's fashion, is fit. Make sure that shit fits you. Make sure your clothes fit you. Do your jeans fit you? Do you know how pants are supposed to fit you? Go look up a 5-minute video. Forget that. Maybe that's too much for you. You don't have an attention span for 5 minutes. You go up, look up a 1-minute video on the shorts, on YouTube Shorts, those little short video, on how to wear a pair of pants, how to wear a shirt. Just know what fits you. Go look at your size. Do your measurements. Buy clothes that fit. Throw anything away in your closet right now, today. Go through your closet. Throw anything and everything away. I don't care if you like it. Throw it away if it doesn't fit you. Never dress in clothes that don't fit you. Rule number 1 is fit. Rule number 2 is function. Men don't wear clothes for fashion. We wear it for function. So what are you doing? Are you at work? You wear work clothes. Are you at play? You wear play clothes. Are you lounging around the house? Wear lounge around the house clothes. Are you going to a wedding? Wear wedding clothes. You wear your clothes for a function. So if you're thinking about how I should dress, think about what the function is. Is it dinner? Dress for dinner. There's a certain way that you could dress a uniform for dinner. You can look at your outfits as uniforms. You have your work uniform. Right? You don't have to think about it. I throw on my work uniform, I don't even have to think about it. So why think about your other outfits? I suggest if you want to make it really easy and have an easy uniform, do what a lot of guys done. This is Tom Ford's advice, and I took it. Buy yourself a bunch of button-down shirts and a few sport coats. Nice cool weather like this, you can wear that every single day. You always look sharp for anything. But function is number 2. Number 3, when you're shopping for clothes, when you're looking for items to buy, whether it's a jacket or a shirt or pants, you're going to pay attention to the fabric. Is it silk? Is it Egyptian cotton? Is it just regular cotton? Is it a cotton polyester mix? Is it linen? Is it tweed? Is it wool? Is it cashmere? Your fabric is important. Fill your closet full of fabrics that fit for the season. Wear the linen, wear the cottons, wear the wools in appropriate times. Let's move on. Let's talk about relationships. Truth is the most important thing in a relationship, and that leads to communication. You have to have open communication, and that open communication has to be surrounded in truth. Trust is one of the most important things in a relationship for me. Trust must serve the harmony of the relationship. That has to be the foundation that the relationship is built upon, is trust. Trust makes the sex better. It makes date night better. It makes everything better. But you only get that kind of trust through communication. Let's move on. You need a vision for the future. If you want to have a goal, you got to set a vision. I ask people in our coaching calls, what are your goals? And a lot of people don't have any goals. But then they tell me that they're looking for purpose and meaning. And they say, well, what do you need coaching for? Well, I have no meaning and purpose in my life. And you also have no goals. Do you see a connection? This is Jordan Peterson talks. This is stuff that he talks about relentlessly. He didn't invent it. This is what you'll talk about if you go to a psychiatrist. So you want to pick a point on a horizon. That's your goal. And how are you going to get there? Well, you develop a vision. Sometimes, in order to develop a goal, you sit around and just daydream, come up with a fantasy. What would my life be like if I could have my way? If I had a magic wand and I could create any life I wanted, what would it be like? Where would I live? Who would I be? What would I do for my day? What would things be like? What's my vision? So that vision gives you a direction. And then every single day, you fight like your life depends upon it to get a little further, even if it's just one little micro step, just one little baby step further on the path towards your vision, towards your goal. Let's move on. I've talked about my political beliefs before. I used to be a big-time liberal, and now I'm rather conservative. And I can tell you, because I've studied this stuff quite extensively, that liberal values and liberal beliefs come from a place of fear. Conservatives largely come from a place of anger, oddly enough. We have fear and outrage are the two things that motivate us. And the liberals are being motivated by fear. The conservatives are being motivated by outrage. And if you don't believe this, go watch Fox News and MSNBC. Just flip back and forth, and you will see the same story being talked about in two different ways. One different way on MSNBC, which is designed to make everybody who's listening very afraid. And liberals like being very afraid, and they're motivated by fear. The conservatives are much different. So when you come to liberal values, liberals don't value freedom. Because if you think about it, what is driving them is their fear. So when you're driven by fear, your value becomes safety. And they will give up any freedom in order to have a certain amount of safety. This is where safe spaces comes from. This is where woke culture comes from. Cancel culture comes from. This is where the idea of your words are violence. And they're locking people up for this kind of stuff in England, in Australia, Canada. The liberal values, this safety over freedom, it leads to this debate over equality versus equity, right? Equal opportunity versus equal outcome. It's a hedonism versus responsibility. As a liberal, I noticed, and I was like this, I was a horrible hedonist. That was my religion. Notice how a lot of liberals are atheists, and they adopt a religion of hedonism. Pleasure, seeking pleasure in the moment becomes everything, because they're living in emotion, they're living in fear. Whereas if you listen to Jordan Peterson, he promotes responsibility. Promotes a certain level of suffering. Go listen to David Goggins. It promotes a certain level of suffering every day. Wake up and suffer, that'll make you hard. Liberals hate that shit. Liberals value anarchy over order. Every time they don't get their way, they destroy everything. They threaten to kill the president if he loses. How many times did Republicans kill a president or threaten to kill a president or launch an assassination attempt on a president? How many times? Lincoln was a Republican. John Wilkes Booth was a Democrat. Obama was president for 8 years. How many times did the Klan, the neo-Nazis, some conservative right-wing militia member from the backwoods, how many times did any one of them, some alt-right nut job, how many times did they assassinate or attempt to assassinate Obama or Clinton? Never once. Nobody took that shot. The liberals, they believe in that. And it all goes back to this fear. Let's move on. Let's talk more about relationships. There's domestic landscaping. You got to maintain your domestic landscape. So this may mean that you're going to have to spend some quality time with your old lady. You're going to have to sit down for at least 90 minutes a week. This is advice that I heard online. That's a minimum. 90 minutes a week of sitting down, just simply talking about goals and life and feelings and just kind of where you're at right now. And you want your relationship with your woman to be intertwined, your journey, your goals, your future, your vision, to be intertwined like ropes twined around each other, coiled around each other. Be on the same page. And this is going to mean you're going to have a massive amount of communication. Communication is key for maintaining the relationship. But also for your domestic landscaping, you need to add at least 2 date nights. I say 3. Bang your woman out so she's screaming so the neighbors hear it. 3 times a week. I don't care if she's busy. Drag her off from the dishes. Take her in the bedroom. You tell the kids you're going to hear some noises. Let's move on. You can get to a really bad place one idiot step at a time. How did you ruin your life? All at once? It all happened at once? Everything was going great, and just bam, something happened, and you turned around and your whole life was ruined. You turned out a weak piece of shit. You're in the doctor all the time, and you're falling apart. Your mind is falling apart. You're an emotional wreck. Your money scene is down. Maybe you're homeless. You're sitting there watching this video, freezing on the sidewalk. invisible as people cruise by you. Oh, I remember being homeless, being invisible, the invisible man. How'd that happen? Well, for me, it was a slow progression of terrible decisions, mistakes, choices. Oh, it's fun to play the victim. Sitting there, oh, please help me, the world has got me down. Babylon, Babylon, you cry Babylon. It's your own damn fault where you're at. Take personal responsibility for what happened to you. Yeah, for what happened to you. See how I said it? For what happened to you. Take personal responsibility for everything that you've done, but for everything that's happened to you also. For the whole world, for everything that is going on in your world. You say it wasn't my fault, Sky, yeah, whatever. You're where you're at because of a series of terrible, awful mistakes and bad decisions for being stupid. Once you can admit it, once you can see it, you can brush yourself off and get up and walk away. It may have taken you 10 years of terrible decisions to get where you're at right now, but it won't take you 10 years to get out of it. I've seen people get off the streets and change their life in one day. All you need is one good day, maybe two good days. Start grinding. It's early. You got today. Food for thought.